outside? Should I run and hide? How do I take my company worldwide? Do you love the law? Did you watch Hee-Haw? What's the weirdest thing that you ever saw? What's it like in court? Favorite sport? Can you help with my book report? Is my hair too long? Am I right or wrong? And do you mind if I sing along to anything? Ask Alan anything in the world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Ask Alan, the podcast. I'm Alan Crone, CEO of the Crone Law Firm, and my guest today is Ciara Neill, and she is the vice president of marketing?
That's it.
For LPI, which you may not know LPI by those initials, but it's Loeb Properties, and they own just about all of your favorite places in Memphis. And we were talking offline, and I really do mean it. LPI really has developed some of the best properties in Memphis, with all due respect to my friend Billy Orgel and other developers. But anyway, so we wanted to talk about the crown jewel of your portfolio, which is Overton Square.
Everyone loves Overton Square. I don't think there are too many people who aren't familiar with it, but it's in the center of Midtown, and it's surrounded by 4 live performance theaters, which makes it really a destination that people enjoy going to have a full experience like you and I were talking about, Alan, having an evening out where you can see a show, go out for a fabulous dinner, and then maybe even turn it into a staycation at the Memphian Hotel that's now built instead of an empty lot. We're so proud of the hotel, which has gotten rave reviews, and even offers you an opportunity to go up to the Tiger and Peacock, the rooftop bar, to look out over the city, and you can, on a clear day, see all the way down to the river. It's certainly an unparalleled experience.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about how LPI got involved with Overton Square?
Absolutely.
And, kind of famously, that redevelopment may not have happened. There was talk for a long time about building a grocery store, a suburban style grocery store where that garage is now. But LPI came in and really turned that area around. Can you talk a little bit about that? I think people would find that fascinating.
Absolutely. I remember in the 80s, and I bet you do too, Alan, that the square was just so hopping and happening. And the reason for the square's development, as it was in the 70s and 80s, was in 1969, the city of Memphis approved, or I'm sorry, the state of Tennessee approved the sale of liquor by the drink. And one of the first restaurants that received that license, actually, I think the first restaurant that received that license in 1969 was TGI Fridays. And that franchise was the first TGI Fridays franchise outside of New York City. And
number 2, I think.
Number 2, yes, the second TGI Fridays. And a group of young men, Memphians, got together, 4 young men, including Frank Dogrel and I wish I could remember their names off the top of my head, got together and created an entire entertainment district to support this franchise that they had managed to develop. And they were in their late 20s. They had an awful lot of fun, and their energy, I think, really translated to the district. And so it was a happening place in the 70s. All the different buildings that are there now pretty much were there then. They only did a little bit of construction on some new properties, but mainly rehabbed existing structures. So throughout the 70s and 80s, it was going gangbusters. I remember my sister worked in the t-shirt shop that was down at the bottom of where the Chime Square is now. Seems impossible that anybody could have built a little shop down there, but they did. Mm-hmm. And after about 1988, 89, the square really fell into decline. And throughout the 90s and early 2000s, it was in a state of pretty substantial disrepair. And no one really had the vision to say, we need to, or the capital to say, we need to bring this back as a piece of Midtown history. And Loeb Properties at the time, LPI Memphis now, owned a small retail section of that on the corner of Cooper and Madison. That was one of the original Loeb laundries and barbecues. So it was a 2-suite retail shopping center. So in 2012, Bob and Lou Loeb worked very closely with the city, with all sorts of community partners, had meeting after meeting with community shareholders, and just talked through the potential of bringing this back, because as exactly as you say, Alan, it was going to be redeveloped as a grocery store from an out-of-town developer. And luckily that deal fell through, and Bob and Lou were able to secure each of their existing properties. And then slowly but surely, we've gone through the process of redeveloping each one of them and restoring them, trying to bring them back to their former glory. It's a real success story. And I think every Memphian should be proud that they had a hand in that.
Well, it really is a success story. And, there were thoughts in that time period that it couldn't compete with Beale Street. When it was built in the 70s, as you may know, and was built in the 70s and 60s and 70s and into the 80s, Beale Street had not really taken off as the iconic entertainment district that it is now. And I think that's one reason why it just kind of languished there. But the Loebs had the vision to see that there was a market, and that it could be what it could be great again, but it's not what it was. I mean, it's a different incarnation, and I think that was a smart play.
Making it family friendly and ensuring that it really caters to local Memphians, I think brings it a different vibe than Beale Street, which is just such a wonderful tourist resource for our city. When we developed the hotel, we were looking at the map of how far away other hotels were, and really from downtown to the Holiday Inn at the University of Memphis, a 14-mile stretch, there wasn't much in the way of hotels, especially not boutique hotels. So despite the fact that we really do focus our energy and attention on bringing local Memphians to Overton Square, a little bit unlike Beale Street, we still realize that there was this opportunity to grow our outside visitor market, or our staycation market.
What is the demographic or the target audience for the Memphian? I'm just curious.
It is a regional, we draw really from regional visitors. We have a lot of people who are coming to the Memphian to go to the theaters. And then we have a ton of college parents. So if Rhodes is in session, you're going to see an awful lot of Rhodes visitors. We get a lot of business visitors who don't want to stay downtown for whatever reason, or who have meetings in Midtown. There's not really a place that caters to that sort of traveler. So you'll see every morning in the Complicated Pilgrim, the downstairs wonderful breakfast and lunch and dinner venue. People are on their laptops working, and they have a real business visitor vibe. So we cater to really all kinds of travelers, but primarily the regional traveler.
Well, that's great. And I guess if you're listening to this and you've got family coming in from out of town, consider the Memphian. It is a great local hotel, and maybe closer to you than some of the other options.
And
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, people think about LPI as a large company because we have so many properties and we're so visible, and you see our signs every time you drive down Poplar. You can't miss them if I'm doing my job right. But really, it's only a 23-person company. So Bob and his wife, Mary, designed the inside of the Memphian themselves. This is their labor of love. It's beautiful, it's iconic, and there's nothing else like it. It is a Marriott branded hotel, which is great because you can get your points and your perks and all of that great stuff. But it's completely a sprung from the imagination of Bob and Mary, and it is just absolutely unique.
Anything new you can talk about that might be coming to Overton Square?
Overton Square is in the process of growing all the time. We do have a few exciting things that I can't quite talk about yet, but we've got some irons in the fire. Right now, we're finishing up the pre-leasing of the Link on Broad, which is our new multifamily project over on Broad Avenue. which is super exciting and taking most of our energy and attention, because it's just such a treat to see it come out of the ground. But that's really what we're focused on at the moment. We just purchased not too long ago Chickasaw Oaks Shopping Center, which is where La Baguette is,
Yes.
right next to the main library. A lot of people don't know this, but inside of Chickasaw Oaks is this small shopping mall area, indoor market, that looks exactly like a colonial revival street. If you've never walked in there, that's definitely something worth opening up the doors and walking into. So we've taken a lot of time recently to bring that online and revitalize it. And it's kind of what we do, is take Memphis landmarks and polish them up and look forward to Memphians visiting.
All right, I got to ask you then. All right, because I drive by that mall just about every day.
Oh, good.
And I've noticed that on the Poplar side, there are two large obelisk type structures, and then one that's in the middle. What is going on with that? Is that going to be a canopy? What's going on there?
That is the new entrance that we built, designed internally and built internally, so that we could bring some attention to the fact that there is a mall entrance right there, and also to give pedestrians safer and more visible crossing. The two pylons obelisks that you're talking about in the front are matched by two in the back. There's one in the center, because those are just about to get beautiful string lights hung all over them, so that they will be gorgeous at night and even more visible.
That sounds great. Yeah, that mall has got some wonderful tenants, not the least of which is Mahogany.
Yes.
The fabulous restaurant in there, and of course La Baguette, which is a Memphis staple. And I remember when that mall was built, it was built around the bicentennial, which I think is why it is designed that way. Exactly
right. You nailed it.
I had my first Long Island iced tea at the Ruby Tuesdays, which is where Mahogany is now. It was a Ruby Tuesdays, and that was back in the days when drinking age in Tennessee was substantially less than it is now. But that's a subject for another podcast.
Well, hopefully not your last Long Island iced tea. First of all,
it may have been. I that's not my drink, but I digress. Well, tell me, what is your? I always hate to ask people favorites, so I'm not going to ask favorite. What is the most interesting or unique property that LPI has that maybe we don't know about?
Really, I think Chickasaw Oaks right now is that hidden gem.
Way to stay on message, Ciara.
We have so many unusual properties that it's hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah.
And a lot of our properties are not exactly hidden gems, because location, right? We want them not to be hidden. We've got some fabulous new tenants that I hope everybody knows about and goes and visits. In Chickasaw Oaks, there's Penn Home and Design, which is a local candle making company that has beautiful, just gorgeous treats and gifts for sale in addition to their amazing candles. I think I have spent most of my income there for the last month and a half. Run by a fabulous former local art teacher who we just all love. We've all gone to the candle making classes there. We have a new vegan bakery across the street at the Shops of Chickasaw Gardens, which is Lulu's.
Yes.
Wonderful. I am not personally vegetarian or vegan, but I've eaten there many times, and I can highly recommend their wonderful lattes and breakfast sandwiches.
You definitely don't have to be vegan to eat vegan.
Not at all.
There's some great alternatives out there. Although my vegan friends and I get into a little bit of a conversation. A lot of vegan food, not all that good for you. But I always think, when I think vegan, I go, "Oh, this is healthy." No, it can be processed food. But I understand the ethical concerns, and don't want to make light of those, but because vegan food cannot be good for you, sometimes it's not good for you, it's awfully good to eat. It's very tasty.
It's delicious.
Don't think you're trading for
way.
taste. It usually is very good.
Well, it's come a long way since the squash blossom days. It is not just lentil burgers anymore, although I do remember those very fondly from my childhood.
Exactly right. I went meatless for Lent this year, and kind of going old school Lent, and I started eating Beyond Burgers and Impossible Burgers, and I mean, I had an ethical conundrum because I didn't really think I was giving up anything, because it tasted just about almost identical, if not identical.
Well, I hope that didn't prevent you from going down to Cavalry's Waffle House, because I hit that this year, and oh my goodness, what a treat.
Well, yeah, I avoid the Waffle House. I go to the preaching sometimes, but I avoid the Waffle House because of all the syrup. I like to stay away from syrup.
It's a little sticky.
But again, I digress. I tell you my favorite LPI property.
Please.
I would love to see it developed, and if I had any money at all, I would do it myself. And that is the lot that is at Union Extended and Poplar. Not Union Extended. It's
at the overpass.
Yeah, where all the overpasses, and there's that large piece of art there.
Yes. And there's a little LPI sign.
There's a little LPI sign. I always think it's the most persistent, optimistic LPI sign. Because what could you put there?
Absolutely nothing, Alan. It's really more of it is a little tough of a site to develop. I don't think that's if you have $1 million idea, of course, we're always willing to listen, but because of all of the interchange traffic there, TDOT really does have quite a few restrictions on that site. However, it's funny you should bring that up, because we had a recent office trivia party, and one of the questions was, what is the address of that site? And our COO actually got it. And it's a number. It's not like 0 Poplar Avenue. It was something like 3264, but amazingly enough, somebody in our office knew what the address of the little
Okay, so that's a Poplar Avenue address in theory.
It's a Poplar Avenue, in theory, a Poplar Avenue address. And I believe it is connected to where the artwork is, because we installed that Roy Tamboli artwork that has the 2 giant crossed beams and a map of the world on it. That's a pretty
it's awesome. And you have just given me a new challenge. I'm going to figure out something to put there and make us all a bunch of money.
Well, you got a Snickers bar if you won, so I'll give you a Snickers bar, Alan. I promise.
Oh, very good. I tell you what, why don't you just supply that to my first month of rent?
Sounds good. We'll work it into your TI. I'll tell you what I really do would love to talk to people about is all of the events that are going on at Overton Square since the pandemic began to. I don't know if we can say over or whatever, but
CDC or World Health Organization declared it over. So go ahead.
I kind of feel like if who did it, then I can do it too. Yeah. We have really, one of the things that we really started focusing on when I came on board about 7 years ago was making sure that Overton Square's events were just absolutely top notch. And the pandemic, set us back a little bit, but all of our events are back and just fabulous, and they're all free, and they're all in the courtyard, which we call Chimes Square, which is sort of behind to the side of Belly Acres, where 17 Berkshire is located, and the Art Project, which is a wonderful drop-in art location for kids. But everybody is welcome. You can bring your pets. You can pick up a dinner and sit outside and eat it. But we have Thursday nights, we have free movies. This Thursday, we're going to be testing out a new LED screen. So we're going to be showing Finding Nemo twice, once at 5:30 to see if our screen works. And once again at 7, which is our normal time, or 8 o'clock, which is our normal time. And then we're also giving away Swedish fish and goldfish crackers, and we'll have a balloon twister there to give away free balloon animals to the kids. We have our music series. We just had Jambi, who's very, very popular, and had an awful lot of dancing and singing with him. Our karaoke dance parties are about to start ramping back up again, kicking off with Taylor Swift. It's really more of a sing-along than karaoke, so you can get out there and belt out your Taylor Swift lyrics. There is a huge crowd for that. So it's always a lot of fun. We have bingo, trivia, all kinds of things. So I hope that everybody who wants to attend Square and just have some free fun heads over to our website and checks that out. We just wrapped up Crawfish Festival for the 20th year. With over 10,000 people. We had the most amazing weather. And we're getting ready for our Independence Celebration, which is a huge blowout, which we host with Alpha Omega Veterans Services. It's all free. It's all wonderful. We'll have vintage fire trucks out from the fire museum and all kinds of fun stuff. And then we're getting ready for a big Oktoberfest for the first time as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're even starting planning for the tree lighting already, which I think is everybody's favorite, with the fake snow in the courtyard and our favorite Santa in the world. So even though it's hot outside, we have to start thinking ahead about all kinds of giant events. So I hope that all of your listeners get really excited about coming over to Overton Square for a very, very fun evening's free entertainment. We spend a lot of time.
It's a great value and it's a great place to hang out. When is Oktoberfest? That's new.
That is new. We are still nailing down the date on that. We're working with a local event company who we love, who helped us put on Crawfish Festival to make it giant and fabulous and totally over the top. So we're looking forward to sharing more details about that as soon as they come to us.
All right. Well, please make sure you include me
I'll put you on the list, Alan. Don't worry. I'm making a note to myself.
I tell you, I was in Overton Square this weekend having lunch at Lafayette's outside, which one of my favorite places in Memphis is to have lunch there because you see everybody, you see great people watching, great music, and I'm looking across the street at the former Paulette's, and that's another place I'd love to develop. It's just such a great space. And if anybody has a great restaurant idea, that'd be a great place to put something.
We would absolutely love to talk to anybody who's interested in new restaurants or existing restaurants. That is a fabulous location. It's right in the heart of Overton Square. I remember it as Paulette's better than anything. The cake pie that I still have to go downtown to get. I wish it were closer so I could get it more often. And we'll take your application, Alan. Just email it on into us.
I'll email it in. Unfortunately, I don't know how to cook, and I don't know how to run a restaurant.
Besides that, you're ready to go.
I'm a little bit. I've got a lot of ideas, a lot of things. That'd be cool, but I unless it's a law office, I really don't have. I don't have the ability to do a lot of what I'd like to do, but
maybe that'll be your next career.
I would. That is a hard business. I represent a lot of restaurateurs, and I tip my hat to them because it is a tough business. But when you get one that clicks like George Phelps did with Paulette's, it's a wonderful place because people can make memories there, and that's what's so awesome.
And it enters the collective consciousness. I don't think there's too many Memphians who haven't been in Paulette's at some point or another. Right. We hear a lot from people. You know what you should do with that space? That's probably the number one thing that I hear. And I love it when people say that because it gives us ideas, but ultimately we're just sitting here waiting for the phone to ring. We love it when people call us, and we love it when they have ideas. And even if they're not quite right for that Paulette space, we have so many other opportunities to show them spaces that might fit their budget if they're just getting started. We love to hear from people who have run food trucks and are ready to get into the brick and mortar business. That's a great way to sort of, get your feet wet and try and figure out, do you know how to run a restaurant as a business? Because it is a business, really, and as you say, and it's a tough business. So we love love to talk to people about their ideas. And we're pretty good at finding the right fit for the right person.
Well, let me ask you this as an exit question. Looking to the future, I think the demise of commercial and office real estate has been greatly exaggerated. What do you think is the future for organizations like yours? What kinds of businesses are people going to be locating in brick and mortar in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think that's a fabulous question, especially since we've all been through this kind of collective nightmare scenario. We don't actually have very many office spaces. We have a few, but primarily what we have is retail space. A lot of restaurants, a lot of small local mom and pops who have a dream and want to make that a brick and mortar reality. We worked extremely hard during the pandemic. We were all on Zoom. This is my second home in this box now, every single day. And every day we were pushing information to our tenants about here's a new loan. Here's a loan for your type of business. Make sure you're applying for this. Don't forget that. And by dint of that effort, we were able to maintain every single business. I don't believe we had a single closure, and we did not have one, I don't believe, that was related to the pandemic. So we've had people who have just cyclically not maintained their space, but we really were able to keep almost everybody in their spaces. So I think the key to address what you're asking, the key to maintaining people in their spaces during COVID was that they offered something that was experiential. And the key to retail, commercial real estate going forward, I think is more experiential. You have to be able to enjoy something that can't be recreated online. Those are the things that kept their value throughout the pandemic, and that were the things that people most wanted to get back to after that. So there's a lot of different things that you can replace digitally, but experiences we all know now there's no substitute for being able to get out of your house and go have a great time somewhere. I think restaurants are still in great shape and moving forward, and have proven that they can be incredibly flexible. Entertainment venues, people who want to go in and make candles or enjoy a vegan breakfast sandwich or hang out with their friends. That is really a fertile field for commercial real estate moving forward.
Well, very good. Well, I know very few things for certain, but I know one thing: LPI will be around a lot longer than me. Great. You're doing wonderful things for Memphis.
Wow.
And as I said, I bet you want to, if you're listening to this, you're from Memphis, one of your favorite places, I guarantee you, is an LPI property because they're everywhere. And Ciara, thank you so much. Give my best to all the other 22 people at LPI.
I will.
I want to thank everybody for listening and watching. And this has been a great show. Please give us 5 stars on the podcast so that we can keep doing what we're doing. And if you liked it, please share this on social media. Ciara is going to go make Memphis great, and I'm going to go get some justice. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Alan.